I have a big regret. I wanted to see this ultra rare bird that's made its way into the city here, but a massive screw up on my part. Goodbye, 2025. Hello, 2026. We don't have flying cars or a cure for the common cold, but we do have depictions of cats shooting guns. And I'm okay with that. It's a beautiful day. I decided just to do a quick little video off the cuff. Well, first off, let me just recap 2025. It started off okay, but I ran into some burnout. So I took a leave of absence from work. And so that really helped a lot because I started learning some tools to cope with that situation in the future. There's a lot of things that you can do to apply the same principles to any situation that you find yourself in where you run into burnout or stress or whatever. And a lot of it just revolves around self-care because society has become this corporatocracy in the past how many decades. There's just ideas that just don't really fit human nature anymore. We're in the midst of a massive kind of change in society. We should be evolving, but we're not. And it's just going to happen at some point. So that's what I would say for 2026 is anything. The most important thing is your health. The whole hustle culture is good to a degree, but know when it's too much. You got to be realistic about your expectations. At a certain age, you'll find that money isn't so much important as time. Money's great, but what good is it if you don't have any time? So 2026, health is the number one important. The second thing I'm planning on doing is making a course on imaging. I have the qualifications to talk about imaging, and I'm going to do one where I can give some tips on imaging for a creative who wants to go on YouTube, do their TikToks and their MySpaces and whatnot. And I'm just going to do a little free video on YouTube discussing about lighting principles. And right now I'm breaking a lot of rules. I'm using daylight, but yet I've got an indoor source here. And that's a cardinal sin against white balance. But with the cameras these days, nobody really notices that much. But if you want to be finicky about it, I know how to do it. Yeah, I'm going to create a video on that. And I'm going to also make a course, like a full course, maybe about 5 or 6 videos. But I'm going to put it on YouTube because YouTube now has a function where you can upload courses and then people can pay for them. So yeah, I got my newsletter. The year-end kind of review is going up. Subscribe to it. It's on Substack. And this will be a rehash of what I said in the letter. What I talk about changing. So right now, it just feels like the world is just going crazy. There's just people insane. And our opinions, our reality are formed by what we see on this virtual space that you're looking at right now. Your phone, your computer. The internet technically is not a physical entity. It's almost a virtual reality that lives in our minds now. So you visualize a lot of things when you want to get likes, when you want to check some information. Your brain is now wired to go to the internet. And it's turning into a reverse situation, a reverse virtual reality, where now what you knew as reality no longer exists, and it's now through the phone in your hand or whatever. That's just my theory. So now that the powers that be know this, that the slightest little algorithm change and manipulation can really throw people off and cause this virtual psychosis, I would say. And I think it's good to remember that this is all not real. This is all just a virtual space that exists where if there was an EMP tomorrow, a global EMP, a vast, huge portion of the data, our lives will be wiped out and we'll be left naked, raw dogging reality without the phone, without the internet. Can you imagine the chaos that would be? So I think what's interesting is that Generation Alpha are now disconnecting completely from the online experience, more as they're evolving. So they're knowing the limitations because these are the kids that were on Zoom for the first years of their lives for school. And they got They really got sick of it. They don't want to go on the social media. They don't want to watch Netflix. They don't want to go on Zoom calls. They want to be out in the world experiencing things. And that's amazing. Things have come full circle. I saw that they're collecting VHS tapes it's like the new vinyl. I'll probably do some videos about that. I think that's amazing. And I think they're not going to throw away their phones or disconnect completely. They're just going to know that it's only good for certain purposes. And they want to go out and experience things. So I think there's going to be a shift in society. The big bosses of society will start telling you that everything's coming to an end. And then in order for it to continue, you have to do this, you have to do that. Whereas it's just a change, it's an evolution of our perception. And these kids are probably going to teach the rest of society how to properly utilize technology, hopefully, because we know in the past few decades, when the Googles and the Facebooks came out, the people at the top in the political spectrum, the corporate, the ultra wealthy said, hey, this is a way to manipulate people and we can get very rich. But now, when you got people disconnecting, the whole infrastructure of the internet relied on ad revenues, and that's what they switched to. But now with people disconnecting and those who aren't disconnecting are turning on ad blockers, then what do? They started introducing AI bots to fill up those spaces to keep up that illusion that there are millions of people interacting on their networks so that when they go for funding, they can show all the stats. And they've been doing that for years. The value of all these companies are so massively inflated, and they keep talking about this bubble. A new bubble is about to burst. And they're saying it's the AI bubble, but I'm not sure so much if it's just a perception bubble where we're going to realize that they switched out social networks where you're interacting with friends so that you could start seeing crazy people talking about political opinions. And then people got sick of that. So then they started getting away from it, going to other social networks. But then with no ad revenue, then how can they survive? So it's just this echo chamber where you're just logging in and just seeing garbage. And then they throw the ads at you. And then you turn on your ad blocker. Things like YouTube, to be creative, you need that ad revenue to partly survive. That's why you do it. Unless you buy a course that I provide or I offer some products, which I also do. But the point is that the internet is going to be changing massively, and they're not going to know what to do for a while. But because our reality has become so intertwined with it, it's going to seem like everybody's going to be going crazy. And they already are. It's already like everybody's got this weird feeling for the past decade or two that there's something off. It's because your brain has been rewired. That's what the problem is. It's not the end of the world. The world has been ending since it began. Every decade, every century, they've all said the same thing. If you look in history, oh my God, the world's ending. Just stop worrying about it. Time is a circle. Everything's cyclical. Things end and other things begin. And just keep that in mind for the next few years and you'll be okay. Just don't be stupid. Anyhow, I saw in the news in Vancouver that there's a bird in the city. It's the first time this bird has ever appeared in Canada. It came from Russia, from Siberia specifically, called the Taiga Flycatcher. And it basically looks like a little finch or like a canary type of thing, but it's gray. So if you're walking down the street, you'll look at it and be like, huh. But apparently this thing is so rare, we got people traveling from across country, parts of the world to come and see it. So yesterday I went for a bike ride. I went downtown to the beach. I saw a woman with a massive lens with a DSLR, and she had binoculars and a bunch of equipment, and there was a crowd of people. So I stopped and I wanted to take a picture of the sunset. But before I left to go downtown, I said to myself, this is just a bike ride. I'm not going to bring my Osmo, the camera that's filming this. I just want to go for a bike ride and just absorb the sun rays. I'm not here to take any photos or film. Of course, it was beautiful. And then I met this biologist, this woman with the camera, and she showed me photos of the bird. She saw it, and she's just been traveling into town looking for it. And I just talked to her for 10 minutes or so. And then I said, it was nice to meet you. I'll see you around. See you later type thing. And then afterwards, I was like, why did I not bring my Osmo? Why did I not bring my Osmo with the microphone? It's a little package like this big that you can just drop in your bag and go, right? No excuses. I could have set up the camera, interviewed her for 5 minutes, and I would have had another video. And no, I missed an opportunity. And it reminded me that maybe it's the mindset from my generation that back when we were in film school, you never had access to a camera other than, say, an 8mm or a VHS. And we would practice with those. But if you really wanted to present an image how it should be seen, you would have to rent a camera or you'd have to be friends with somebody who owned one. And so you just got accustomed to the idea of not having access to a camera. Fast forward now, 20, 30 years later, we have cameras on our phones. This camera is just so convenient to use. It's idiotic not to bring with me everywhere because I missed an opportunity. So my advice to you, don't be stupid. Take your camera everywhere, film everything because you don't know how easy you got it in that regard. The prices of cameras, how easily accessible they are, presenting them to an audience. It's so easy now. It's ridiculous that you should be filming everything. Go out and do it. Take your camera with you. Meet people and talk to them and then, of course, ask their permission. But that's an opportunity I missed. Don't be a dummy. Don't be a Chris. Don't go out for a bike ride without your camera because you might miss out on an opportunity to talk to a biologist about the Taiga flycatcher.